More than a month later, a family rallies against the lack of answers in the shooting death of their son by police. See how a Topeka police officer is working to improve relationships between young black men and law enforcement and babies born dependent on drugs.
It's heart-wrenching.
How the numbers are growing and what's being done to change them.
Those stories here tonight on 13 News. Good evening and welcome. I'm Ralph Hipp.
And I'm Melissa Bruner. Family, friends, and supporters of Dominic White rallied outside the Topeka Law Enforcement Center tonight. They're asking for answers about what led to his shooting death at the hands of Topeka police officers.
Dominic White was killed a bit over a month ago, September the 28th. That police review being done in Lawrence continues. 13's Erica Hall is top of the 10 tonight, speaking with the White family about all this. Erica?
Melissa, Ralph, a large and vocal crowd gathered at the Law Enforcement Center. They chanted, "No justice, no peace," until more information is released in White's death.
There's no one here today, and most of the family is out here. There's no one here that can tell you why he was shot.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
It was a peaceful but passionate rally for Dominic White Thursday evening.
Dominic White!
White's family and friends held a rally asking for answers in his death and transparency from law enforcement.
Release the tape! Release the tape! When we want it now!
Topeka police say White struggled with officers September 28th near Ripley Park, then ran, reaching into his pocket where police believed he had a gun, and officers fired. Police say a gun was recovered at the scene.
Topeka police officers are the ones being investigated, yet only TBD and LBD has viewed the dash and body cams.
Ralliers criticized police for not releasing the body cam video yet, but Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kage has said it would interfere with an ongoing investigation.
We would like to see that so that we can put our minds at ease. We don't know what is happening, what was happening that day, and how we view Dominique is totally different than how it's been portrayed.
People also voiced their frustration there was no police presence at the rally just outside the Law Enforcement Center.
Dominic White's life matters! No justice, no peace!
This matter's not going nowhere. You're not going to be able to sweep this under the rug. It's not going to be able to be hidden away. We're going to be here until we get some answers.
TPD asked Lawrence police to handle the case to avoid a conflict of interest. LPD told us today investigators are finishing up a few things and then we'll send it to the Shawnee County DA's office to review. Ralph?
Thank you, Erica, and we'll see what happens at that stage of the investigation. That Kansas State student whose car was vandalized, spray painted with racist graffiti, says he's about to leave the university. The student, whom we here at 13 News are not naming, told the Kansas City Star he withdrew from Kansas State University yesterday, going back home to California. And in another development today, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, is now the lead agency on the case of the racist graffiti sprayed on his car. Riley County Police making that announcement today that they'll check it as a hate crime. RCPD will assist. Riley County Police report the vehicle had been parked at an apartment complex in the 2200 block of Claflin when the crime occurred. It was early yesterday between 1:30 and 3 in the morning. They ask any of you with information to call their Crime Stoppers number 539-7777. Reaction today from Manhattan's Mayor Linda Morse with her statement saying the actions are not acceptable. Quoting her here, "I encourage the Manhattan community to reach out and support diversity and respect for all. I know that there's need for significant improvement. I know the community will come together to make Manhattan a safe, inclusive, and respectful place for all."
A man whose wife's remains were found in a storage unit where he was staying with his two small children went on a screaming rant against authorities in court today. Justin Ray was in court for a hearing on child endangerment charges. The Kansas City Star reports he yelled that Johnson County authorities were trying to take his children after his wife killed herself. A judge ordered him removed from the courtroom. Ray was arrested after he and his children and human remains stuffed in a cooler were found at a Lenexa storage unit. Court records indicate the remains were his wife, Jessica Montiero Ray, who he has not been charged in her death. Kansas City police have apprehended an aggravated rape suspect who may have worked as an Uber driver to get his victims. Antoine Crosby was booked for identity theft. He's held on $150,000 bond. Crosby is suspected of sexually assaulting numerous women whom he'd pick up from the Westport and Power and Light districts. A Topeka Police Department officer is heading a program aimed at improving relationships between law enforcement and young black men. 13's Denisha Richard tells us why he says it's so vital.
Topeka police officer Timothy Bell is on a mission.
I'm proud of you. No, I'm really proud of you.
To create a better relationship between young black men and law enforcement.
Right now, I would say it's tumultuous at best, and that's due to a myriad of issues.
Through the Our Kids or OK program, Officer Bell collaborates with other professional black men in the community. They meet with the participants at least once a week, tackling issues from college preparation to violence.
You have kids who are willing to kill each other over a pair of Jordans, so that's something that needs to be addressed.
Officer Bell personally handpicks members of the program from Eisenhower Middle and Highland Park High School, sometimes using teacher recommendations. He then oversees their growth as they progress toward adulthood.
Even if an African-American male has a legitimate threat on his life, they rarely call law enforcement. So to start building that gap and to building that bridge to bridge that gap has been really awesome.
The young men in the OK program must follow high standards for grades and behavior. Officer Bell says he is dedicated to being the role model who inspired them to achieve.
So I see every single day what these boys are going through. I see every single day what's happening, and I want to be part of the solution. And sometimes that goes beyond being a street officer.
Bell says with the help of the community, the OK program could prepare young black men for success and also foster positive relationships with law enforcement one step at a time.
It's not the police community and the African-American community. I live here too. So it's all of our communities, and we should all be striving to make it better.
Denisha Richard, 13 News.
The OK program meets at Eisenhower Middle School every Saturday morning. We posted a link to learn more about it at WIVW.com.
Kansas adoption experts want all of us to know it's not too early or too late to give a child a loving home. This is National Adoption Month, and DCF, the Department of Children and Families, says the KCSL, which is the parent organization of our Wednesday's Child program, held an adoption celebration at Capitol Plaza a few hours ago, featuring the Ostroms from Manhattan. For 10 years, Kathy and Lon have opened their homes and doors and hearts to more than 50 foster children, adopting 5 this November Adoption Month. While many people think about younger children, DCF's Phyllis Gilmore says older children, they need families too.
Very special. It is just thrilling. My very first social work supervisor was very much reminded me always from the very beginning that older children need a grandma and grandpa for their children when they get married. They need a place to go when they're in college, home on weekends. So older children certainly need a family.
Kansas still has more than 400 kids in need of permanent homes. Most are siblings, groups, and older children. Time for our weather now, and is it going to be sunny tomorrow or more overcast and drizzle? And we're setting our clocks back. We'll remind you about that again this weekend too.
Jeremy Goodwin knows all about those things.
All of those things. Jeremy, welcome back.
Hi, Ralph, Melissa. We are expecting to see a cool day again tomorrow, but much warmer this weekend. Could be in the 70s by Sunday. Outside now, Topeka has 47 degrees. Concordia has 41. Marysville is 41. Manhattan 48 degrees. I'll have your full 8-day forecast in a few moments.
Thank you, Jeremy. Stay with us. We'll show you how the Fort Riley community is helping their soldiers over this holiday season. And time is creeping closer. If you need help this holiday season, still a few more chances to apply for help from the Christmas Bureau.
But first, more babies being born dependent on drugs. We'll look at what Kansas hospitals are seeing and what's being done about it next.
You're watching 13 News at 10 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas News Leader. This is your 13 weather forecast with Jeremy Goodwin.
We've had a bank of clouds moving out of the area much of the afternoon into the evening. Areas around Manhattan, Concordia, Clay Center were mostly sunny much of the afternoon, early evening. Topeka finally saw the clouds break up around 8 p.m., while Emporia down to Burlington still have the clouds hang around even at this hour. Tomorrow morning will all be dry. Looking at Green Car for the People's Insurance Group Road Risk Index, the weather should cooperate for your drive back to work tomorrow morning. Of course, you always have to watch out for the other folks and what they're doing on the road. Sometimes certainly it can be more dangerous than the weather occasionally, but we are looking at the weather cooperating just fine. So the Capitol Federal Live Storm Tracker is still seeing that batch of clouds. Again, from Emporia, Ottawa, Burlington, even Kansas City seeing the clouds. Manhattan, Marysville, Concordia saw mostly sunny skies by the middle of the afternoon, and temperatures made it to around 60 in those areas, while Emporia, Ottawa, over to Lawrence only made low 50s today, where the clouds held on through the sunny part of the afternoon and still remain. Looking outside now, this is a live look from Emporia. The Emporia cam provided by ValueNet Fiber. You can see those clouds lit up by the city lights in Emporia right now. Of course, Lyon County and in Topeka still have the clouds on the horizon well to the south, but overhead right now it is officially mostly clear. That view from the Jayhawk Tower, our Parish Hotel's Ramada Hotel and Convention Center camera last night at this time, you could hardly see the Capitol dome because of the dense fog that was in place. Tonight that shouldn't be a problem. It is going to be colder tonight, and if we do see any fog, it should be very thin or light fog, nothing like what we saw last night and this morning. Temperatures right now coldest to the northwest, and it's interesting that the temperatures were warmest up here earlier today and now it's coldest. The difference there is because when the clouds are not there in the afternoon, you have plenty of sunshine, warms things up. When the clouds are gone in the evening, it cools down more quickly. So that's what we've seen. Concordia, Marysville, with temperatures dropping the fastest. Emporia only made low 50s. The temperature has hardly moved even at this hour because, again, the clouds act like a blanket and keep the temperatures up at night, keep them down in the afternoon. So that's what we have happening for areas like Lawrence and Emporia. Supercast keeps us dry tonight, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies, no rain chance at all tonight. Now tomorrow afternoon, we'll see the thick batch of clouds rolling in from the south. This will have a chance of seeing some light rain, some sprinkles. It's nothing heavy, but it lasts on and off through the night on Friday night into the wee hours of Saturday morning. And then by the time folks wake up on Saturday morning to enjoy the weekend, we're looking at a lot of sunshine and 2 nice days, 60s for highs on Saturday and likely in the 70s on Sunday. So tomorrow's highs, mid-50s. We will be in the 60s on Saturday to kick off the weekend. And again, it should be a beautiful weekend with temperatures well above average for this time of the year. Tonight, 39. That is close to typical for this time in early November. 55 tomorrow. Some sprinkles, but nothing heavy. The rain chances are gone early Saturday morning. And you get 1 bonus hour of weekend because we set the clocks back an hour on Saturday night. We fall back, of course. We go back to daylight, go back to standard time on Sunday. Sunset on Sunday, 5:17 p.m. with a high of 72. Melissa.
Jeremy, thanks. These are the smallest victims of our nation's drug crisis. The CDC estimates that every 25 minutes, a child is born experiencing symptoms of drug withdrawal. From the year 2000 to 2014, Kansas saw a 900% increase in neonatal abstinence syndrome. That's a little more than 100 babies expected this year. While meth remains king in Kansas, opioids are quickly gaining ground.
Patty cake, baker's man.
Every time she looks at her 9-month-old son, Kason, Robin Osterhaus knows she's lucky.
I was addicted to meth. I was homeless.
Getting pregnant, she says, was no match for 6 years of addiction.
I mean, you live, breathe, eat, die, sleep, drugs.
But at 12 weeks along, after a night of using, she went to the ER and refused to leave until they got her into treatment.
I didn't want him to go through withdrawal. Like, knowing how bad withdrawals are, I couldn't imagine being a newborn baby and having to go through that. It's heart-wrenching.
Unfortunately, it's something Deb Salisbury and the staff at Stormont Vale's NICU are seeing more and more often.
A lot of times babies are very inconsolable. Sometimes they have trouble just coordinating sucking, swallowing, breathing, and eat effectively. They're sleeping and can be having tremors. We try to make them comfortable by providing a decreased stimulation. So a lot of times the lights are down, it's quiet in here.
In Kansas, the counties in red, mostly urban areas, are seeing the highest rates of neonatal abstinence syndrome. Stormont treated 12 babies with NAS in 2015. It was 21 in 2016. While most babies go home after a couple days, babies with NAS average 12 days in the hospital. Nationwide, it adds up to $1.5 billion in extra medical costs each year. The families affected aren't always what you think. A recent CDC report found 14 to 22% of pregnant women filled a prescription for an opioid medication.
Some moms truly do have chronic pain, and that's how we typically treat chronic pain is with narcotics. So there are effects to the babies, but you need to know that going in.
I looked for Hippo on a bed, but
Robin knew the risks of the illegal drugs she was taking. Through treatment, she was connected with Kansas Children's Service League's Drug Endangered Child Case Management Program.
And the goal of it is to really try to prevent that child from being born substance exposed. And so the earlier we can work with the parents, the better. And then also to just provide help and support and make sure that those children are continuing to to develop appropriately.
With their help, Robin stayed sober and Kaysen arrived healthy and drug-free.
It was one of the proudest moments of my life, knowing that I did it. That as bad off as I was and where I was coming from, that I made it and my son was going to have a chance at a life.
Robin now has an apartment, a job, and is taking classes to become a social worker, an advocate for others, so she can pay forward what people did for her.
Don't be afraid to get help. The worst thing you can possibly do is not ask for help.
Case managers do continue working with the families for about a year. 97% of those children who've been through the program do not end up going into the state system. So very successful. I posted information on how you can get in touch with it at WIBW.com. Also, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment brought groups like state agencies, hospitals, and experts together earlier this year to educate on this issue and start developing a plan to address it. So a lot of information you'll find on WIBW.com, Ralph.
Crucial for new moms to know that and for all Kansans to know about the opioid crisis and another important angle of that big story. All right. Area groups are getting a head start on this season of giving. In a moment, see where Santa was busy today.
You'll also see where you can still get help to make sure everyone has a meal this Thanksgiving.
You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Topeka's well-known Community Thanksgiving Dinner Foundation is beginning the preparations for its 50th Turkey Day dinner service. How about that? The foundation expects to feed more than 2,900 people Thanksgiving Day. No requirement to receive a meal. To make it happen, they need your help. You can donate non-perishable items now at any Topeka fire station or bring them to the Expo Center's Ag Hall the week of Thanksgiving. The foundation also delivers meals to those who cannot travel to the location. The deadline for the call-in, though, to get a delivered meal is 4 o'clock the afternoon of November 17th. 15 more days. The United Way of Greater Topeka continues taking applications, taking them for the Christmas Bureau, and it's only at one place, the Johnston Community Center, there near Southeast 21st and Market Street. You could apply till 7 o'clock tonight. Now only 2 more chances, 2 shifts tomorrow, 9 until 1 and 3 until 7 on Friday. The final day to apply is Saturday. Those hours are 9 till 3. You have to apply in person. You'll need to fill out the form and bring your photo ID, proof of income for everybody in your household, and all of their social security numbers as well. This is year number 2 as Payless Shoe Source and Advisors XL partnered to provide some winter coats and shoes for all the students at Sheldon Head Start. Each of the students selected a new pair of shoes. Those were donated by Payless. And new coats, those were chipped in by Advisors XL. Teachers say many Sheldon students don't even have the basic items they need for winter. They love to be able to choose their own clothes. Advisors XL has 285 extra winter coats for students in need at Ross Elementary, Highland Park High, and the USD 501 Clothing Bank. All right, as Fort Riley began its 33rd annual Operation Santa Claus early today with that ribbon cutting, the Fort Riley community, along with Santa, help families by providing gifts for the local children over this holiday season. Now, the head elf of the operation says this program can sure bring some normalcy, some normality to children's lives. You can donate those new unwrapped toys in the $15 to $20 price range for children and teens up to 18 using donation boxes all through the area at businesses in Manhattan, Salina, and Junction City.
Now you have Christmas music in your head. We are going to find out what elite company K-State's kicker joined today coming up. And we'll take a look at the Wildcats quarterback situation headed into the weekend. That's in 13 Sports. And after that, where you can grab a cup of tea and enjoy the work of young artists.
13 Sports with Chris Lilly.
Hello everyone, the 4-4 Kansas State Wildcats are on the road this weekend at Texas Tech, and the biggest question mark remains the quarterback position for the Wildcats. Bill Snyder has said time and time again senior quarterback Jesse Ertz is the starter if he's healthy, but that hasn't been the case since the beginning of October when Ertz was hurt against Texas. Then last week, sophomore Alex Delton left the game early against Kansas after taking a hard hit. Snyder says Delton should play this week, but if Delton doesn't play, freshman quarterback Skylar Thompson will once again step in. Against Kansas, Thompson saw his first college snaps in a meaningful game.
Skylar, I was immensely proud of Skylar because he hadn't been on the field before, and I thought his poise and how he presented himself, managed the game.
Thompson completed 4 passes for 40 yards and rushed for 39 yards against the Jayhawks.
Can't say anything but great for that kid. Comes in as a third-string quarterback, never really played in a game, played late in games, but you know how it is late in games, man. We're up by a lot. This is a game that Skylar had to play in, and he had to make reads, and Skylar had to make throws, and extremely confident. I didn't see him nervous out there. He was confident. He was being a leader. Skylar has a big future ahead of him, guys. You guys have a lot of big things ahead for Skylar Thompson.
The Wildcats only have 3 quarterbacks listed on their depth chart, so if Thompson were to get hurt, well, Bill Snyder might have to throw his hat into the ring.
If you had to go to a 4th one, who would you anticipate playing in the game?
Hall. It's him or me. It ain't going to be me.
There you go. In Kansas State, senior kicker Matthew McCrane was put in some elite national company today. He was listed as one of 20 place kickers as a semifinalist for the Lou Graza Award. McCrane is the only representative from the Big 12 on the list and is the 5th Wildcat to be named a semifinalist for the award. Martin Gramatica brought home the hardware in 1997 as the best kicker in the country. McCrane has made 15 field goals this season. That includes 3 of at least 50 yards. His 54-yarder against Texas and 53-yarder against Central Arkansas are the 2 longest in the Big 12 this season. And the Kansas Jayhawk defense showed some signs of life last week, holding the Wildcats to 30 points. It might not seem like much, but that's the fewest points this team has let up since week 1. And junior defensive tackle Daniel Wise has been a disruptive force the last few games.
Pretty versatile guy at that position. You don't see it very often. I mean, you might see a DT or DN that you might be able to move inside every now and then to a 6 technique, even a 4 and a 3 down front sometimes. But this guy being a defensive tackle and moving him to a rush end and being able to do that, that's pretty unique. He had 2.5 sacks the other day. He had 3.5 TFLs, and he's very explosive, dynamic, great with his hands. He's grown up so much from the first time that we ever met him. He's turned into a real pro. And he's turned into the leader. I mean, he has really kind of taken over that leadership role for our football team, which is good to see. And he's a productive guy, right? And he cares about KU. That's one of the things I love about him most, is he truly cares about this university.
We had one area of school playing tonight in high school football. The Holton Wildcats on the road at Baldwin start their playoff run, and Brooks Barta and his team advance after beating the Bulldogs in a close game 9-8. Don't see many of those. They will play the winner of Frontenac and Girard, who play each other tomorrow night. McCrane wasn't the only area kicker receiving accolades. Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker was named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month. The rookie kicker has been sensational.
He has been money. I can't believe, Melissa, Martin Gramatica 20 years ago. Can you believe that, when he got his award?
Wow. What's the weather looking like? Is it football feeling in the air?
Yeah, probably.
I would say so. This weekend will be warmer, but tomorrow, mid-50s. Clouds roll in again in the afternoon. Chance of some light rain or sprinkles, nothing heavy. 67 Saturday, 72 on Sunday.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
That's Cafe Barnabas cutting the ribbon tonight on a public art exhibit at Westridge Mall. This is a not-for-profit organization. They connect adult mentors with high school students, with loose leaf tea as the binding connection.
And they're partnering with a number of high schools all around Topeka. Many of the students and their artwork will be displayed inside the cafe. So Barnabas, check it out. This is a little quick
not just a place to get a drink, also a place that really is working to help youngsters get some skills.
Very cool. Chris, we mentioned Kansas or Baylor. They're going to win a Big 12 game.
One of them will.
One of them will, we know, and that's awesome.
Stay tuned for The Late Show. It's next tonight.
Bye-bye.
And the latest news, weather, and sports at WIBW.com, or follow WIBW on Twitter, Facebook, and our mobile app. Thank you for making 13 News the most watched evening newscast.